This is Dr. Jonathan Hansen. I'm the president of World Ministry International, and I want to welcome you to the Warning Program. Wherever you're listening or watching, welcome. I have a special program today. I'm going to be interviewing Isaac Hurd. I've known Isaac since he was in high school, if not before, and I know that he had a passion to play football. In high school, he was quarterback. And we're going to see where he's at today. I know that many people told him he couldn't make it, told him that you need to change positions if you want to have a hope of playing professional. But in this interview, I think we'll understand some things that the Bible says very clearly if we want to win our crown of righteousness. If we want a champion's heart, then there's certain things that we need to do if we want to receive that crown. So, Isaac, welcome to the program Warning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome, Isaac. I remember I was preaching in Hawaii, and your folks came to the church. I was preaching out, and I eventually met you, and I want you just to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, maybe when you accepted Christ and when you started playing football, things like this.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm a pastor's child, as you know. My dad, Eric Hurd, he raised us well, raised us up in the church. Um, so this was kind of, the thing that we're used to doing growing up. But, as we got older, my dad would always emphasize on us coming to know God for ourselves, not just through them, not just through religion, but knowing God for ourselves through relationships. So as I got into high school, he encouraged me to make my relationship, my pursuit of God a little more intentful. So in that way, start, instead of going to mom and dad for prayer, start praying on your own, start seeking God and start trusting God on your own. So it was about my sophomore year of high school where I made that decision to, pursue God for myself, got baptized for myself, and, began to go on the journey of trusting God, getting to know him deeper. And, not just through life, but also learning to trust him with my passion, which is football.
Okay. So, when did you start playing football?
I started playing football when I was 4, for a little outside Pop Warner league. So I was real young. I don't exactly remember, how I got to the position of quarterback. I just remember being able to run and maybe being able to throw a little bit. So, the coaches put me there. But ever since then, it was quarterback that I enjoyed playing, and so I started there, moved up, uh, into intermediate, still playing every year since then, and into high school, um, college, and eventually the pros.
Okay, so all high school, did you play quarterback?
I did. Um, Came in freshman year as a quarterback, was on the junior varsity team. My second year in high school, my sophomore year, they moved me up to varsity. That's when I really began to be challenged in my faith with God, and playing time and trusting God to put me in the position to utilize my skills and to um, learn how to use my gift for His glory. So that's where really the journey began.
All right, so you played 4 years in high school, and when did you become a starter then as quarterback?
I didn't become a starter until my senior year of high school. Um, everybody's going to have their struggles at any level. you know, earning a position, and there's certain things, or certain times where I thought I could have been in at the starting position, even a little earlier than that. But like I said, I just continue to trust God, because what He has for me is for me. So if He wants me in the position to start, I always knew that He'd get me there. So senior year ended up starting, and it was a great year. We ended up going at the time, further than that our school has ever been, which was into the Division I states. So God definitely vindicated me even in high school. Exalted me for His glory, into a place that was able to propel me into college.
So, what was your record in the last year? What was the record that your team had?
I believe regular season we lost only 2 games. And then we went into playoffs, into states, won our first round game. Um, and then we lost the next two. But it was a great run. We had a great team. And we were just, proud to be able to make it that far, first time in history of the school. So it was awesome.
What was the size of the school? In other words, uh, what do they rank the school?
At the time, our school was, you know, we weren't ranked that high. We were known for having, great players and, great potential, but we weren't exactly known for, being able to put it together and, make great runs. So our team wasn't ranked that high. So the fact that we were, able to make a run into the States was a big deal.
And the size, were they double A, triple A? What size was the school?
Um, well, we're in Hawaii, so we rank it a little different than the mainland. But our team was, or our school was, it was basically the private schools in one sector, the public schools. So it was just kind of divided that way. So it wasn't really about the size in that way.
Was the school student body was it about how many?
Um, let's see. My senior year, my class was pretty big. I think we had, if I remember right, close to 1,000. In my graduating, um, the entire school, maybe 3,000 students, which is pretty big in terms of that, a pretty big public school.
Yeah, so you competed against actually a lot of athletes to earn your position.
Yes, sir.
So when you came out of high school, um, did they rank you well as a quarterback? What did they tell you? Did they say, "Hey, you got a shot. You don't have a shot"? What?
Well, I did well. Finishing the season, I think I was ranked. I think I was ranked third in passing yards. But that year was awesome because the stats I had put up. I believe it was 2,600 passing yards, 23 passing touchdowns, 15 rushing touchdowns. Um, I believe maybe 13 interceptions. But it was a great year. So I actually ended up receiving the um, MVP award, or the most valuable offensive player award for the state. I shared it with one of the other players. It was a co-MVP, but that title was pretty pretty cool to me at the time. I didn't even realize how well I did, but when they told me I had won Offensive Player of the Year, it was pretty cool. But in terms of where or how that would relate into me going into college, I wasn't quite sure, because growing up I kind of just was under the impression that if you played well enough, that teams would would find you, they would see you, and they would reach out, give you a chance to play. But coming from my school, we weren't really known for putting out many, D1 college athletes or professional athletes. So um, I don't believe many schools were really looking at us. It was more the private schools, that when colleges in the mainland were looking at Hawaii, they're usually looking at the big private schools and the big names. So I didn't really have um, really any offers coming out of my senior year. So that was another story of not knowing where I would be playing, but wanting to play, and really just praying on that, on where God would have me go. And he ended up working it out. Like with a week left before signing day, my senior year, one of our coaches who previously played for a coach, um, Coach Howard, who was currently coaching at Southern Oregon University, where I ended up going. He contacted him, and they reached out to me, and my coach had actually sent them some film for me, and I ended up signing there.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're listening or watching the Warning Program. This is Dr. Jonathan Hansen, the president of World Ministries International. My special guest is Isaac Hurd. Isaac Hurd lives in Hawaii. I've known him since he was in high school or before, and now he's finished a season already on the professional level. And so we're talking about his journey. How did he get there? And if you want to listen to this program or watch it, if you just tuned in but you want to see it from the start, you can go to my website, www.worldministries.org, www.worldministries.org, and you can click on watch and listen. And we're on 7 days a week, radio and or television. So, Isaac, you went then to college. And what was the college again?
It was Southern Oregon University in Ashland, Oregon.
And how long did you play for them?
I played for them for 5 years, along with my degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology.
Okay, 5 years. Did you play every year football?
I played every year. Yes, sir.
What position?
When I say I played every year, I meant I was part of the team for the 5 years, but I went in as a quarterback. That's where I was recruited at. I think I was the only quarterback they recruited that year as a freshman. Came in as a quarterback. Had a little bit of a transition period. Going from high school ball to college ball was quite a jump for me. So I had some challenges going in, but I was just honestly just glad that God got me there in the first place.
Okay, so did you play quarterback the whole time, or did they alternate positions, or what?
So going into my freshman year or my redshirt year, there were, I believe, four other quarterbacks there. Two of them were upperclassmen. One of them was a lowerclassman, but he was, had a great arm, a great talent. But the quarterback who was starting there when I came in was a great player. He ended up becoming the player of the year for the NAIA, and having some tryouts at the professional level with, I believe, the Falcons. His name was Austin Dodge. He had a great arm, great competitor. So I came in, and I didn't really do as well as I wanted to. I can make all the excuses in the world, but I didn't feel that I was quite prepared in terms of my skills and my fundamentals and my consistency and all that stuff that coaches at the college level expect when you come in. So my learning curve was a little sharper than I wanted. I had the ability. It wasn't refined yet. But at the time, the coaches made up the decision that maybe it'd be best for me to change positions, and in the future, if I wanted to come back to quarterback, I could. But they felt that maybe I could make some contributions and possibly get on the field if I were to change to slot receiver. So um, prayed about it, talked to my dad about it. Um, we talked about possibly transferring. But my dad, I remember him telling me that, who's to say that I won't go to another college and have the same struggles, be in the same situation. So we prayed about it, we talked about it, and made the decision to just switch positions for the time being and make the most of what we could.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're listening, watching the Warning Program. It's Dr. Jonathan Hansen, my special guest, Isaac Hurd, and we're talking about his journey in football from high school to college onto a professional level. And along the way, he had many opportunities to quit. He had a lot of opportunities to take advantage of Satan trying to discourage him and people telling him that you can't make it on a professional level as a quarterback. But even though he changed positions momentarily, uh, he kept his eye on quarterback. He wanted to play quarterback. And he finally did make quarterback on the professional level. And we're going to tell you how that happened. But what we need to know is I call that the champion's heart. I spoke a sermon on it a few weeks ago, The Champion's Heart. You can find it on my website or one of my channels. Again, we're on 7 days a week, 40 podcast programs, television, radio. But go to www.worldministries.org and you can see all of our programs on radio and television. Look up the sermon, The Champion's Heart, because a champion doesn't quit. Paul didn't quit. Paul said, I fought the good fight. I finished the race. And I've kept the faith. So, Isaac, I believe that's what you did.
Yes, sir. So this was my college experience switching positions because I played quarterback my whole life. So this was really big for me. I cried my tears. Was a little confused. I wasn't sure, because I had these dreams of going to college and being a successful quarterback. So when that didn't work out, it hit me pretty hard. And that's really where my challenge is, especially being on my own at college. That's where God really began to test my faith and my trust in him, and began to build my trust in him, because when things don't go our way, there are certain decisions we can make. We can get bitter, we can get frustrated, we can quit, we can doubt God. And at times, I had those emotions come through, but God continued to deal with me and to be patient with me, and to remind me through his word, through my parents, through different people, of his faithfulness. So just decided to make the best of what I could, because I couldn't change it. And, still kept that thought in my heart that, God can do the impossible. Maybe one of these years up the line, I'll end up going back to quarterback and finishing, at the quarterback position. So I had to learn to really trust God fully, and not just in word, but in deed and in action. So that time it was rough, but God brought me through it. So I ended up finishing my career, my college career at receiver. I had my own little, um, more challenges to come ahead of me. Just learning a new position, trying to get on the field as a receiver, because I had never played receiver before, competitively. So that was a whole nother challenge in itself. I had to really become a different player, think a different way, move a different way. And even on the side, there were times that I would be training receiver and quarterback. Even though I wasn't at quarterback anymore, I'd be training at quarterback just in case, you know, that came up. But it's not because of my strength. It's all because God kept me. He held me through and allowed me to finish strong. My senior year, I ended up finally getting a start at receiver, and doing well. So it was a blessing. I came out of college, even though the enemy, intended to break me there and to keep me discouraged and to delay or to try to deny me the destiny that God had for me. God kept me, and that's my biggest testimony, and the testimony that I had to my teammates, my coaches. My At the end of the season, my senior year, I told them, if there's anything I would leave you guys with, it's just that God is faithful. And I could tell them that proudly and boldly, even though my college career didn't go the way I wanted it to. I could still tell them boldly that God is faithful because of everything He brought me through and the things even outside of football. Times when I didn't know how I would pay for schooling and and certain things like that. God was faithful. There's so many details in there that can't be said right now, but you know, um, I told them God is faithful, and foreshadowing what happened after college was just beautiful when I look back on it.
So, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a warning program. Dr. Jonathan Hansen interviewing Isaac Hurd from high school to college and then on to professional level football. So, when you graduated from college, Isaac, and you graduated not as a quarterback, but a wide receiver, yet you had made first string and you graduated with a degree in criminal justice, minor in psychology. How did you get to the point where you ended up on a professional team playing football? What happened? I mean, you played football, but you played quarterback on a professional team. So, I mean,
Mm.
how did that happen? And I've been following you, and not only did you finally get quarterback on a professional team, and then you advanced to a higher professional team. So, tell us about that.
Yes, sir. So, ending my senior year, um, for a lot of our players, coaches asked us, who of us would, who of the seniors will are planning on continuing to pursue football after college, to the professional level. And I was one of them, but I wasn't quite sure because, I was kind of doubtful in my ability, to be honest, because at the time I'd only been a receiver for 4 years. While most of these guys who are making it to a professional level, uh, they've been receivers their whole lives. And for me, kind of the thing that I struggled with was, at the time I had thought that the only way I'd make it pro would be at receiver because that's the thing that I had done last. I hadn't been a quarterback since spring of 2015, and that was 2019 at the end of my senior year. So the first year out, I talked to my dad and we talked about our game plan. I prayed about, Lord, if you have the professional level for me, then I desire to have it. But at the time, honestly, I didn't really have a passion for football like I did before. I had allowed some of the circumstances in college to break my desire and my passion for football. So after some praying, I felt God had confirmed or gave me the green light to pursue football professionally. Through confirmations and the way that He speaks. So the first year out, I pursued it, but it was still at receiver. And I believe I had to go through that in order to to realize God's plan for me and to realize His faithfulness. Because there are times where you think you trust God, but sometimes you really don't trust Him as much as you do. So
Now,
God will have allow you to go through things in order to open your eyes.
now, ladies and gentlemen,
Um,
you're listening to the Warning Program. Dr. Jonathan Hansen, uh, special guest Isaac Hurd, from high school, college, and on to professional football. Now, if you want to hear the rest of the rest of the story, you got to tune in tomorrow. We're out of time today, but tune in tomorrow and see what happened. Where did he end up? How did he become a quarterback on the professional level? May God richly bless you. Thank you for listening and watching the Warning Program. God bless you.